Hi, I'm Naftal Nyakundi from Masinde Mulilo University of Science and Technology. My research asks a simple question. If you speak a minority language in a multicultural African city, how do you belong? Most studies of Nairobi youth focus on Sheng and English. But what about young people from smaller ethnic groups like the Gusii, who live in informal settlements like Kibera, Mathare, and Githurai? My study explores how Gusii youth use language not just to communicate, but to survive, belong, and be seen. Here's the problem: Nairobi is incredibly diverse, but in daily life, some languages carry more weight than others. Sheng signals urban cool, English signals education, Kiswahili signals national belonging. But if you speak Ekegusi, the Gusii language, in public, you might be mocked, called a villager, or treated as if you don't really belong in the city. Existing research has largely ignored minority language speakers in African urban studies. We know a lot about Sheng. We know very little about how Gusii, Meru, or Kuria young people navigate the city every day. So my study set out to fill that gap. I spent time in three informal settlements, that is Kibera, Madare, and Githurai, over 6 weeks. I worked with 22 Gusii youth aged 18 years to 30. I observed them in markets, at bus stops, and on football pitches. I interviewed them and I looked at their WhatsApp groups, Facebook posts, and TikTok videos. I analyzed how they switched between Ekegusi, Sheng, Kiswahili, and English, and why. Importantly, I used a concept called linguistic citizenship. That means seeing language not just as words, but as a way that marginalized people claim recognition and demand to be heard. I found 5 patterns, but let me highlight 3. First, multilingual switching is a survival skill. You told me they must learn Sheng quickly to avoid being targeted or laughed at. One participant said, and I quote, "If I keep speaking in Egusi, they will call me from the farm. So I switch. It is not worth the argument." End of quote. Sheng protects them. It is a shield. Second, Ekegusi is not disappearing. It is going private. In public, they hide it, but in private voice notes on WhatsApp with family and close friends, Ekegusi becomes a language of emotion, comfort, and also honesty. One young woman said, and I quote, "Sheng is for outside, Gusii is for home." End of quote. So the language is not lost, it is moved into intimate spaces. Third, digital spaces are safe zones. On TikTok and WhatsApp, youth mix Ekegusi with memes, humor, and slang without fear of being mocked. Online, they can be proudly Gusii and Urban at the same time. So what does this mean? Firstly, it shows that minority languages are not simply disappearing in African cities, they are adapting. In other words, they are moving into private and digital spaces. Secondly, it challenges the idea that to be urban, you must abandon your ethnic language. These youth are doing both. And thirdly, it means that urban justice is not just about housing, roads, or water. It's also about who gets to speak and to be heard. If a young person cannot use their own language without shame, the city then is not truly inclusive. My study suggests that policymakers, educators, and so on should recognize multilingualism as a resource and not a problem, and that digital platforms might offer new ways to support linguistic diversity. I am Naftal Nyakundi. Thank you for watching. If you like to read the full study or discuss further, feel free to reach out.